Hello there, everyone. Let me quickly check if everything worked because my internet was just giving me a headache. Okay. I think I am live. I think everything worked. Let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me, if everything looks good. And yeah, hi and welcome to another YouTube live session here on the Pinkfresh Studio channel. Christine, my first Pinkfresh live. So happy to have you here. Hi, Mariette. Nice to have you, Laurie, Cindy. I see lots of you already joining. Perfect. Okay, yeah, it was, of course, technology as always. It just didn't want to connect to my stream, but everything's working now. And behind the Pinkfresh Studio name today is Jody. Hi, Jody. And we, or rather I have something fun planned for you today. So yeah, so Jill says, can't wait to see the full release. Exactly. So the full release will be available today in just 2 hours from now. So at 2 p.m. CT. And yeah, I'm going to give you a last little sneak of some of the products before everything goes live. And I would love to see, because I see some names that I saw on the weekend in our Cards for Him event. So I would love to hear who of you joined us in Cards for Him. So maybe you can just do like a me or whatever to let us know. Hi, Kerstin. So nice to have you join us. Yeah, so I had a lot of fun in the Cards for Him event. We created some beautiful cards. And I don't know about you, but after an event like this, I always feel so inspired and want to create all the cards. So, there, Aline says she was in. Laurie, I recognize the name. Jody, oh, you were there too. So before I went live, I wanted to have this little, countdown with like an overlay that gave you a little sneak of some of the products or things that I have on my desk right now. So this is what was supposed to show before, you saw me pop in. So this was to give you a little feel of what we will be creating, or I will be creating today and working with today. All right. So, Leanne, it was so much fun, learned so much. That's so nice to hear. Okay, so as I said, I'm going to be working with some products from the new release. And let me flip my camera real quick to my desk. And let me just move that over. Okay. Now, you already, or those of you who joined Raquel and me last week in the YouTube live will have already seen this product that is part of the new release. And this one is actually called Sunshine and Smile. So it's a sentiment only stamp set. Oh, hold on. Let me turn my light on real quick. Yeah, I just don't like turning that on when it's just, me, because the lighting is not so flattering. So this one we already showed you last week. And then I don't remember. I think we also showed you, sorry for the glare. Let me see if I can. Hold on. So, like so. Should be better. Yeah. Okay. To be honest, I don't remember if we used this one. I think Raquel used the single stitch rectangle dies. So it's a new addition to our essential die lineup. And Connie's asking, is there press plates in this release? Yes, of course there is. But I will not be working with a press plate today. And I didn't work with one last time, so that's, you know, rare for me. Anyway, so this is what you've already seen or might have already seen, and what I want to work with today is called Sommer Fun. So this is one of our stencil and die only product suites. So you might have worked with a product suite like this from us before, something like Floral Field, for example. We had some floral ones where you would just color in, like use the stencils to color in leaves and petals, and then use the coordinating die to die cut them out. And these are the ones that leave no wide outline. Yes, don't forget to like the video. I appreciate a thumbs up. And of course, hold on. I completely forgot, because I was still in like event mode. I completely forgot my housekeeping tasks, like telling you about our giveaway. Hold on. I'm going to do it like this. So our giveaway, of course, we have a giveaway. So 2 of you in the live chat will win a $50 gift card. And then on the replay, we are also giving away 2 $50 gift cards. So all you have to do to be entered to win in the live chat is just, you know, be active in the chat. Every time you leave a comment is another entry to win. So please let us know if you give this video a thumbs up, when you shared this video with someone, or if you already follow us. You know, every time you write something is another entry. And then if you're watching the replay, all you have to do is leave a comment below the video, and then you'll also be entered to win. So $200 of gift cards in total. And of course, we love giveaways. Who doesn't? And then you can use these $50 if you want to shop something from the new release. Okay, I think now I've got, you know, all the things I had to tell you out of the way. And then one more thing, if you have a question that, you know, I need to answer, that's something maybe concerning the project, then it would be really helpful if you could type question in all caps at the beginning. It's just a little bit easier for me to see them in the chat. Okay, back to our project, to the products. So this one, as I said, is called Sommer Fun, and it's a really, really cute product suite. And here's the little mock-up on the back of the packaging. So you will see it's 2 dies. So one die cuts out these cute little summer icons. You have a sun, sunglasses, flip-flops, popsicle, a nice fruity drink, a palm tree. And then the other die that might look a little bit weird in the beginning is there to die cut these holes on each side. And then you can use some nice colorful thread or embroidery floss to thread that through. And then the cute little icons, as you can see, also have these little holes in them. So you can string these onto your thread to create a super cute, fun little interactive card. This one I think is perfect for layouts or for mini albums especially. Like, I really want to do a mini album with this one on the front of, like, on the cover. You don't have to use it with thread, so I will not be using it with thread today. But if you stick around until the end, I will show you a card of mine that I already did where I used it with the thread, so you can get an idea for what that would look like. But I want to show you today how else you can use this, and that even if you don't like sewing or, you know, using something like thread on your projects, you can still get great use out of this product suite. All right. Okay. I think I've got everything so far, you know, cleared up. And then I have another little thing that I was thinking of using today. So I knew you would, Kathleen. I can totally see you make a mini album with this on the cover, but you have to let me post it first. So I also grabbed this one. This is called the Inverted Diamond Slim Stencil. And this is an older product. This is not new, But the reason I pulled this out, and this is a little secret, so don't tell Kinnery that I already told you, but for everyone, like when our new release goes live in 2 hours from now, or not, close to 2 hours, we will have a nice little freebie for those of you who shop from the new release. So if you spend $25 or more on products from the new release, you will get this stencil as a freebie. So don't tell Kinnery that I already kind of spilled the beans. But I thought, I would give those watching a fun little insight information. All right, so what I thought I would do is my idea. I have some of the, like I still had, when I was playing with these products from the new release, I created, sometimes I go ahead and ink blend a few more of the images and then die cut them just so that I have some extra pieces to play with. So I had some left over, and and I also had some of these left over that I didn't use, from the single stitch rectangles, some smaller ones. And then I thought, I had them, just lying on my card like this, on a card base. And then I thought, why not use these fun little icons as like shaker bits in a shaker card? Yes, they are colored. So these are already ink blended, but I will show you, how to use these products today. I will ink blend another set of these little icons because I want to create a shaker card with these as my shaker bits. And then, maybe also throw in some sequins or a little bit of bling, because of course. So yeah, the freebie, as I said, it will be when the new release goes live. So it is not available yet. You can already purchase the stencil if you want to, but I mean, why? If you can wait and just get some products from the new release and then get this for free. But you will not need a code for this. You will only need to add this to your card from a pop-up, but it will be pretty self-explanatory once you go to our website. So this one, it does have a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of white line, but not as much as, lots of other stamped and then die cut images have. So we have some of these stencil and die only product suites that have no white line at all, no white outline. These have like a really tiny bit, but not too much. And I think that for these, it actually even adds a little bit to the look of them, I would say. Okay. So let's get started. First of all, I'm just going to go ahead and create, one more set of these, and then we will see where to go from there. All right. So, and you can see this is smaller than like an A2 or like our usual packages or packagings. So this is just like a rest of some white cardstock. So this is not even a full A2. This is like 4 by whatever's left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Roughly 4 by 5-ish. But you will see that, so it's a 2-piece stencil set, but on each stencil you get 2 layers. So this is stencil 1. So it also tells you here, not sure if you can see that on camera. Up here it says stencil 1, and then here stencil 2, and then stencil 3, 4. So you actually only need a bit of cardstock that is this large. So you would get 2 of these on an A2 panel. So what I did last time, I'm not going to do it today because I still have some pieces left and I don't need that many more. But I still want to, explain how you can make this process even quicker and easier for yourself. So you can see that, as I said, this whole stencil fits onto an A2 card base. And there is not really, it is numbered, but you can switch the order in which you ink blend these images. So what you can do is attach this, or like hold the stencil to your card base, and then ink blend this part, ink blend the other one, and then you just move this one over for stencil layer 2, sorry, and this one over, and then you have two, not at the same time, but a lot quicker than doing everything step by step. So I'm not sure if that made any sense to you, but that's how I did it, and it saved me quite a bit of time. As I said, right now I'm not going to do it because I still have some pieces left, so I will just go ahead and ink blend one of these. And then I also already grabbed a few colors that I thought I might use today. It's there are quite a lot of colors, but I wasn't sure which ones I wanted to use, so I just grabbed a few that's kind of like inspired me and felt like summer. Orange, the order doesn't matter. Well, in most cases, it doesn't really, to be honest. So sometimes, yes, there is, like, you will have, for example, a detail layer on something, but even then you could do the detail layer before the other one sometimes. But it's also a bit of preference, I would say. But a lot of times it doesn't really matter. It's just, to make your life easier. So of course, we have to give you some guidance. Okay. So yeah, I think these are summer colors, like beach colors. So I definitely, this is what I grabbed. And we will see. I might not end up using all of these, or I might pull out another one. I don't know. Now, if you are not sure which icon this is supposed to be, which part of the image this is supposed to be, hold on, let me zoom in a little bit more, just for this part of the ink blending, and then I can zoom out again. If you're not sure, you can also have a look at the die, because of course the die has to be, because this is a one-piece die, of course it has to fit, or match the stencil. So when you look at this, you can see, okay, this is part of the sunglasses. This is pretty obvious. This is part of like the upper part of the popsicle. So you can use this as sort of a guide, or once you lay like two stencils on top of each other, it also usually helps to kind of identify what part of the image this is. Okay, let's get started. Enough talking. So I'm just going to go ahead and use, this is the sun. So I'm just going to go in with my yellow blending brush and use whatever I have left. I'm not inking it up again. So this is the blending brush I use with all of my yellow inks. So I'm just using whatever I have left. And you can see that this stencil also has these triangles. So if you've worked with our die and stencil only product suites before, then you will know these. So these triangles here, they are our kind of like registration marks that help you line up the stencils and then the die. So make sure that you also ink blend over the triangles so you can use these to line up your next stencil layer. Okay. Jeanette says she's never used layered stencils and excited to try them. I have to tell you, like, layered stencils for me is like one of the best inventions in I don't know how long. A few years ago, I started out as a scrapbooker. I always wanted to kind of try card making, but I was never satisfied with like the coloring my images, like with regular like watercolors. I didn't like Copic markers or markers in general. I'm not good at coloring with those mediums. So that's one reason why I never really got into card making. But having these layered stencils makes it so easy to get beautiful results, and it looks like you know what you're doing. Like, it looks so professional, even though you only sort of ink blended some, ink over a brush, over a stencil. So yeah, for me, definitely one of the best things. So I just used ballet slipper for the flip-flops and the upper part of my popsicle. And then looks so relaxing. Yes, most of the time I would say stenciling or ink blending is pretty relaxing. Hold on. The lemon wedge, I also want to be yellow. This little dot right here is the center part of the beach ball. So I'm just using whatever color is next to me right now. I don't really have like, I mean, of course I do have some idea, but it's not like I plan it out all the way. So I'm using peach fuzz for the drink. And you could go in with like a microfiber cloth or something and wipe your stencil clean if you want to make sure that you don't contaminate, you know, or like bring in a different color. But actually sometimes I kind of like it. So for the drink, for example, here I'm actually bringing in a little bit of the pink that was left. And then up here we have the sunglasses that will, so they look like this. So these three little openings are for like the, I'm not sure what that's called. It's not like, this is the frame, whatever's orange here, that's the part. Absolutely. So Kathy said these would be cute strung together and popped on top of a layout as a banner for scrapbookers. Absolutely. Or even on a card as like a garland or like a banner. But I see these on layouts, on mini albums. I think they are perfect for like any sort of summer vacation project. So I'm gonna use Mermaid Cove, and I have to be, with this one I have to be a bit careful because I don't want to get this on my flip-flops. So this is why I'm bringing this in last. And I'm using the 1/4 inch blending brush, so the smallest one. And I'm being careful not to wipe it in the other direction. And then I can take this off, wipe it down real quick. And now you can use these. You only need to look out for the 3 triangles. Like so. See how easy that is? And now I can just secure my stencil in place and continue. So, you know, this is so easy, so quick. I love it. So for the sun, for the outside of the sun, I'm just doing whatever is left on my orange brush. And then I am gonna ink it up again a little bit with Sunkissed for like the detail on the lemon wedge or orange or whatever you want it to be. Then this one right here is the trunk from the palm tree. See, Jody, I remembered. Like over the weekend, I was working with a product suite that also had a palm tree. And at the beginning, I just could not think of the word trunk. But by the end of my class, I had the word trunk. Like, I will never, ever forget it again. So, yeah. And then here also the popsicle, what do we call it? Popsicle? I asked Jody what I should call this bit. Popsicle, whatever. This piece, the popsicle trunk. I'm gonna call it. Let me think. I forgot what I colored my popsicle. Oh, right. I did the ballet slipper. So I'm gonna do this sort of orangey color. Hold on. Popsicle stick, that's it. But I like popsicle trunk. Yeah, sometimes Beverly said you speak so many languages. Well, I speak a few, but yeah, sometimes I get confused. And then I start making up words. So I actually have, hold on. So the popsicle I have left also has like the ballet slipper at the top. So I don't want it to be the exact same colorway. So I'm just gonna go back in and do the sparkling rose on top. So a little bit more of a punchy, brighter pink. See, Angela says she likes popsicle trunk much better. See. And that is it for the first stencil. And then this is stencil 3, and then this is stencil 4. Again, only look for the triangles, super easy. This is like the best thing. And then we have the sunglasses. I'm gonna do, where's my gray blending brush? There. Oh, this one is still pretty inked up from like a darker gray, so I'm just gonna use what's left on this one for the shades. And I'm also gonna bring in a little bit of blue, but I want sky blue for that. So see how I'm tapping my brush on the outside of the stencil? This is to get rid of some of the ink because I don't want it to be completely, like, fully saturated. Okay, I hope I didn't miss a question. If I did, then please just ask again. Now for the drink glass, I'm also going to use the rest of my sky blue blending brush, and I think I have to ink it up a little bit more. And then for the popsicle, I'm gonna do mint. I didn't use any mint on my other version, but I thought I would bring in a little bit of mint, because why not? I want like really fun, summery, bright colors. Yeah. So, but I also want to repeat them so that it isn't like too much of a hodgepodge of colors. So this is why I'm trying to repeat pretty much every color at least on one other piece. So I did the mint in 2 places. I did the yellow in 2 places, the ballet slipper, and then I'm also going to repeat the Mermaid Cove that I used for the sunglasses. Okay. Question, what is that metal plate? So this is actually, so as I said, I started as a scrapbooker, so this is from my scrapbooking days. This is a magnetic mat for the We Are Memory Keepers foil quill. So this was to be used with your electronic die cutting machine to do foiling on, you know, cardstock or whatever. So this is what I still have this from, because I didn't have a grip mat, so I had to get, when I started with the whole card making business, so I had to get creative, and this is what I grabbed, and it worked out really well. So this is what I kept using. Okay, I'm gonna use Mermaid Cove on my palm tree. So this is what I used on the sunglasses. So I'm repeating that color here. I'm being a little bit careful that I don't blend over the glass. If you wanted to, you could cover this up with a bit of masking tape, or just hold your finger over it, or just cover it with a piece of paper. If you don't want to be too careful and just go like this, to make your life a little bit easier. And since these images are so small, I'm not going to bother with doing like shading, because they are really small openings. So yeah, I'm not going to do that. So I also want to bring in Seaside, because I love that blue. It's such a nice, bright, punchy, summery blue. So this is what I'm going to use for the sunglasses. And I'm going to do it on the beach ball too, so I can repeat that color. Of course, you don't have to do that. You can use as many colors as you like. You can also only use like 2 or 3. Do whatever you like. Let's do. What are we going to do for the stem of the glass? Hold on. Okay, now for the flip-flops, I'm going to do sparkling rose. Hold on. There it is. Right, the blue is called Seaside. And it's one of my favorite blues, because it's just so bright and nice. Okay, and let's do the pink here. Hold on. I don't want to bring in that green from the palm tree. So this is the only thing I want to make sure, because that would look muddy. Okay, and only the drinking straw, or whatever it's called, is left. So I'm using whatever I have left on my Mermaid Cove brush. And that's it. Now let me just put my brushes to the side real quick. And then we can do like the reveal. Okay. And ta-da! Now ignore the triangles that look a little bit muddy, because of course they were ink blended with lots of different colors, but these are just as a guide. You don't need them for anything, so it doesn't matter what they look like. Sue is asking, when will we see the full release? So at 2 p.m. CT, so 1.5 hours from now, is when the full release goes live in the shop. And of course, we will also have a blog hop to celebrate, and with lots of inspiration, lots of projects, and of course, lots of giveaways too. And then there will also be at the same time a video on our YouTube channel where I show you the full release in detail. It's a pre-recorded video, it's not going to be live. The full release in detail with lots of project samples, and yeah, where you can see everything that is part of that release. We have 26 products releasing today. That's a lot, and all of them are fun. Okay. The triangles are not new. They are on stencils, mostly on stencils that have only these like stencil and die combinations. So if you were part of the Cards for Him event, we had those triangles on the lantern landscapes that Jana was using, for example. Okay. Does the blog hop start when the release comes out? Yes, exactly. So at 2 p.m. the whole party starts. So we have the blog hop at 2 p.m. The release is available in the shop. The video goes live. The whole shebang. Okay. So, and you can see hold on, can you see? I have to zoom out because you can't see. But now you can see. So now you can see that I can use, apart from, of course, the images themselves, I can use those triangles to line up my die as well. And as I said, so these images, they do have a very thin white outline, but not as much as like the stamped images. So yeah, hold on, I have to move this over a little bit so I don't push my camera off its mount. And there you go. One go and you have all of the pieces die cut. Hold on, I will show them to you in a second. Okay, so here you go. There you have all of these cute little pieces. They already have those holes, as I said, so you can string them on some twine, thread, embroidery floss, whatever you want to use. But as I said, you don't have to. And I'm personally, like, for me, it's not a big deal if they have those holes and I'm not using them on some thread. But you can also cover them up or cover some of them up with like a small gem or a glitter drop or whatever. Okay. Okay. So yeah, you can see it's a very, very thin white outline. But I think for these like little icons, it actually it works because it helps define them a little bit, I would say. Okay, so as I said, I thought we could do like a little shaker with these and whatever I had left as the shaker bits. And I also wanted to bring in the stencil. So if you joined us a little bit later, you will have missed this part, but I'm going to repeat it. And I have to pick up the pace a little bit. So the stencil I'm going to use is not new. This one is from, I don't know when. Yeah, no idea. So it's called the Inverted Diamond Slim Stencil. But this will be a freebie for, like, this is going to be our promo, special promo for the release. So if you purchase products from the new release for $25 or more, you will get this stencil for free. Of course, this is not available yet, only once the release goes live. But yeah, I thought it would be fun to include this product on today's project, so you can already get an idea, if you are getting something from new release, what you can do with your freebie. So this is why I thought, I might bring this in. So what I'm going to do is I'm just, as you can see, using my 1-inch blending brushes in different colors, and I'm just gonna ink blend whatever is left on the brush for now to see how far I can get with that. Not as far as I thought. Like, the yellow is fine. Let's see. I have some blue. I don't want it to be super dark because I thought I might use this as like the backdrop for my shaker part. Now we are getting somewhere. This brush never disappoints. There's always a ton of ink left on it. And what else? Maybe this one. Okay, so let's see. This is just like a test. I have no idea if this works out or what this is going to look like. Okay. So this is what I was going for. I don't want it to be too bright because I want the shaker bits to be, you know, the main thing. So what I thought I would do is maybe use the single stitch rectangles. So these are also part of the of the new release. And I thought I would use these and die cut a frame from this. And then I can see if I want to use the frame from that or the inside, or if I end up, you know, not using any of it. I have no idea. As I said, no clue. So you can see what this is looking like. So yeah, maybe only the frame so that it doesn't distract from, you know, from the actual star of this whole thing. So I'm using the second largest die from the single stitch rectangles. And I'm also going to use the fourth largest die. So I skipped one in between just so that the frame would be thicker. Although I'm not sure. Maybe I want to... Yeah, I think I want a thin frame. So there's more space for our shaker bits. Someone once called them shaker guts, and I have no idea who that was, but I really like that word. But I should make sure to line up my dies nicely so that I don't have like a crooked frame. Okay. Almost fell, everything fell down. Okay. Out of all my dies, I do not have a nested rectangle stitch die set. That's like, there's a hole that needs filling, I would say, because so we have a few different versions of stitched rectangle dies, and I like how they sometimes just add that final, you know, that finishing little touch to a card. Okay, so this is, as I said, it's not gonna be too in your face, and I might not end up using it. I have no idea. And I'm keeping my dies together for now, so I could cut the same frame again from some scrap cardstock if I want to layer it up. Hold on. So the 1-inch blending brushes, I have to tell you, like, you need them. They are so good, and I'm not just saying this because I am I work for Pinkfresh. But before I had these, I was always so frustrated with ink blending, especially on backgrounds. So I ended up, you know, just avoiding it normally. But now I really like creating my own ink blended backgrounds. Okay, I'm just checking if I missed any questions because I just realized that I haven't looked at the chat for a while. It was Carissa Wiley who calls them shaker guts. That could be true. Okay. 1-inch brushes are amazing, and I don't work for Pinkfresh. Okay, so take Leanne's word. She's not getting paid to say this. Okay, so I have this right here. So what I thought I could do, maybe, but it's not subtle enough for me, like for my taste, to use as the actual background, I think. I'm not sure. I'm a little bit torn. No, it's not subtle enough. So, change of plans. Change of plans. I still like that, and I still like that stencil a lot. I did 2 test versions before. you can see here with different colors, and this was it with a wider frame. Like so. Maybe I should have, you know, stuck to fewer colors so it wouldn't, so these little pieces get to shine a little bit more. I think that looks nicer. Like, I like the frame as such, but I don't like it with the rest, if that makes sense. I lost my audio. I think, I mean, I can't really tell you to refresh because of course you can't hear me, but yeah. Question. How do you come up with all the great inspiration? Yeah, I'm not always inspired. You know, like I'm not always feeling creative. But sometimes it's the products that inspire me. Sometimes it's seeing another one person's project, whatever. And sometimes if I don't know what I want to do, but I have to do something, or you know, what sometimes really helps me is to just get started and just start, for example, ink blending this and die cutting. And then once I have this die cut, I just start playing around with it, pushing it around on my card, grabbing different products, and then not every time, but you know, some of the time I get an idea. You can see here I had, you know, another attempt at making this. So I think I'm going to use this for my shaker, and I'm going to just use some acetate. That's the word I was looking for. So I think, like, I usually really like thinner frames, but at the same time, I don't like fiddling around, especially on shaker cards, with thin frames and thin, you know, foam adhesive or foam tape strips. So this is why I'm going with the wider frame, just to make my life a little bit easier. And I have to hurry a little bit. It looks like I spent quite a lot of time yeah, talking at the beginning. Sorry about that. And Jen Day says she hasn't tried ink blending yet, but she purchased some ink cubes and 1/2-inch blending brushes. You just need to get past the nervousness. Yes, just do it. Just, you know, it's just paper. If you mess up your first or second or third piece of ink blending, no big deal. You don't have to use it on a card right away. You can always redo it. You can use that as like scrap paper for whatever. Ooh, that was not good. I did it again. Okay, so I just cut into my frame twice. So I will have to get creative to cover that up. But if you have seen some of my live sessions before or were part of the event, then you will know I often have little mishaps like that, and there's always a solution. So I'm just using my scissors to cut off around the outside, because it's a rectangle. You know, it's definitely an easy shape to cut. You could have also, or I could have also used the same die and just die cut it, but I'm too lazy for that right now. Question: do the 1-inch brushes come individually or in sets? So the 1-inch blending brushes come in sets of 3, and the other ones, Jody, correct me if I'm wrong, in sets of 5 or 6. I think 6, but Jody is gonna make sure that I don't tell you something wrong. Okay, so if I had more time, And if this wasn't alive, I would have probably die cut a few more frames and layered those up, so they are a little bit more sturdy and not as flimsy. But I don't want to spend all that time, you know, just die cutting frames. So this is why I am just going to use it like this. And I will have to live with that. I'm using some foam tape. I think this is the highest foam tape that I have. It's 3 millimeters high. Because I want I like dimension. I want the shaker guts to be able to move around freely. But you could definitely, you know, use thinner foam, especially if you only use something like this for your shaker guts, because of course this is just paper, so it's not going to be too thick. Okay, this, and just filling that little space here. Okay. Darlene says, since I took the classes this past weekend, I have become more confident using the stencils. That's so nice to hear. I love that you know, that this event gave you confidence to use your stencils. Question, I already answered that question. Okay. Now, hold on, I completely forgot to check something before I took off all of the backing of my foam tape, because I actually thought of doing some ink blending, but like solid ink blending on the background. What to do? I want to have some texture or something. I really like texture. So what should I do? Let me quickly grab something. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that, but I really want to have something in the background, but ink blending is not going to work right now. So what I'm going to do is find another A2 panel, or maybe I can do it. Should I do it on the card front? Yeah, I'm just going to do it on the card front. No risk, no fun, right? So I'm going to do some dry embossing with my press plate. And the fun thing is, I always forget the correct sandwich for using my press plates for dry embossing. So yeah, not nerve-wracking at all. Sorry, I can't really get everything, like my whole machine and everything, in the frame. So we will see if I remember correctly, or if this, you know, turns into a disaster. I mean, if it does, I can just grab another card base, you know. But yeah, I think Jody can attest to the fact that I rarely go like in a straight linear direction. I always go like back and forth and do something else, try something other different. I'm not sure if that was enough. Yeah. Okay. So you can see here, that's some nice texture we have here. So I used my press plate with my die cutting machine and just the correct setup for dry embossing. Please keep in mind, press plates are a little bit thicker than dies. So the sandwich that your die cutting machine states for dry embossing with dies is not going to work with press plates. Because press plates are thicker, so it would probably, that would be too much for your machine to handle. So make sure that you kind of try. So what I end up using with my Spellbinders Platinum 6 is I'm using A and B, what it also tells you. Then I'm putting my press plate with the cut or the press side up, my paper. Then I'm using the embossing mat, and then I'm not using this one because this is too thick. I am using the other cutting plate, and then I'm just putting in like a folded piece of paper as a shim. So try, getting, try different settings and just work your way up with shims, like just like paper. So you don't put too much stress on your machine and end up breaking it. So this is my advice for you if you want to use your press plates for dry embossing too, because I think you should, because that's a lot of fun and gives even more use to your press plates that you can use for hot foiling and a letterpress effect already. But I mean, it's still fun if you can use it for even more, right? Okay, so I am gonna go a little bit over today. I'm also gonna throw in these little sequins. So these were part of our release freebie, I think in February, maybe, for the February release. So some of you might even have those, or also as like they were the swag from the February event. So if you have those, this is something you can use them for. And they are like multicolor, so they fit the colors that I used for my ink blended images really well. Okay. Now, I remember I told you by accident I cut into my frame. So I will have to come up with something to cover that up. So I have to decide, do I want it to be down or up? What's easier to cover up? I think this. And now just trying to put it on sort of straight, crossing my fingers. Whew. Okay, now that's a nice little shaker. Now what happens sometimes is if you use foam tape that is a little bit sticky on the sides, and I usually forget that part, as you can see. It's sometimes sticky, so whatever you have as shaker pieces inside sometimes sticks to the edge of the foam tape. What you can do is use some anti-static powder to get rid of the sticky on the sides. I forgot to do that, but it's not a big deal. Like with a little bit of heavy shaking, you usually can get them loose. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. And I like how these cute little stars look together with that. Now I have some of the some of the sentiments from the Sunshine and Smiles stamp set already stamped. So I'm not sure if I want to use one of these or... No, it's not really hot here. It's not hot here. I'm in Germany. It's not hot. I have no idea how much it is in Fahrenheit, but in Celsius it's more like, I don't know, 12 degrees. So yeah, I need a sentiment. I want something like in the center And there are a few that work. So there's one, wishing you a birthday filled with sunshine and smiles, a little sunshine to brighten your day, or celebrate with sunshine and good vibes, which I think all would fit for sort of a birthday or celebration. And I like the celebrate with sunshine and good smiles, the size of that. And I'm gonna heat emboss that real quick in white on some cardstock. So if you have a minute, I'm sorry, Jody, I'm gonna go 2-3 minutes over. But I don't want to use that green because I don't have that green anywhere else on my card, and that would drive me crazy. So I'm sorry about that. So I'm just gonna grab a piece of scrap cardstock real quick. And I am going to heat emboss it in white because I want to then ink blend over that with one of the colors that I used on my ink blending. So yeah, when I'm finished with that, I'm just going to add the sentiment. Not much else because of course the party is inside the shaker, so I don't need to add a whole lot of gems outside, on the outside. And then remember I told you I will show you a card that I made with this set where I used the other die for the string option. So I will show you that in a second. Just need to heat emboss real quick. Oops. And now it's only 1 more hour until the release goes live. So I think that was a nice way of killing some time before the release. And, you know, okay, it's gonna be a bit louder now. So yeah, I love this sentiment set, stamp set, because I think it has a great mix of just fun, upbeat sentiments that can work with pretty much any product suite that you have or that, you know, that's part of this release. So what I want to do is I want to use the seaside, this blue, or maybe the Mermaid Cove. What do we think? Yeah, I'm going to do Mermaid Cove. Because I really like white heat embossing on dark backgrounds. Now I could have first ink blended and then done my heat embossing, but when the ink is not fully dry, the embossing powder sometimes sticks where it's not supposed to. And an anti-static powder can help, but it's just easier to do it this way around, because then I can just ink blend over this. And then once I am done, I can grab my microfiber cloth, just wipe over the embossing powder, and you can see the difference. I'm just getting rid of the ink that was sitting on top of the embossing. And then I can grab my die. Secure it in place. Of course, well, that was smart. So of course my die cutting machine and everything is on my floor now, so I'm gonna grab my small one. real quick. And I think Jody can get ready to pick a winner, or 2 winners actually, if she didn't already, for the $50 gift cards. Right? It looks so good when you wipe the ink away. I love that. And I saw, hold on. I saw someone pop in and say they can't stay, but they will. I think it was Carrie. Carrie Goldstein. Yes. So hi, Carrie. Thank you for popping in, even if you didn't have a lot of time. That's nice of you. Congratulations, Marriott Intima and Christy Fuchs. I'm sorry if I am butchering your names. You are today's winners of the $50 gift cards. Congratulations. So all you have to do is email customerservice@pinkfreshstudio.com to claim your prize. And since our customer service is our wonderful Jody, if you email her right away, I'm pretty sure she will get back to you pretty quickly. I can't make any promises, but I'm pretty sure you would be able to spend the gift card on a new release if you wanted to, because Jody is quick like that. So I did some preparation and I die cut the sentiment from some blank cardstock beforehand, and I did that with a few sentiments just so I can stack this up for dimension. I can promise. Okay, so I can promise Jody, if you email her right now, she will get back to you so that you will be able to spend your $50 gift card on a new release. How fun is that? Thank you, Jody. Thank you everyone for joining me. I will add maybe a gem here or there and something to get rid of this or to hide my little boo-boo. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. So yeah. And as I said, a little bit of, smacking this will get everything unstuck. All right, so let me just turn my camera real quick. Oh no, I wanted to show you the other card. There it is. If you stuck around for so long until the end, I want to make sure to, reward you and show you the card. So here I used 4 different colors of thread and then just threaded my little icons onto it. And I also used the single stitch rectangles. So yeah, that's a lot of fun. And I can see this on a mini album cover or something. I think that would look nice. All right. Okay. So, hi Paige. So fun that you're popping in. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me today. Thank you for watching. Make sure to check out the blog hop, the whole release and everything in an hour from now, or actually almost just 50 minutes. We have lots of inspiration from our wonderful design team and lots of giveaways again. So I hope you enjoy the release, and I would love to hear what your favorite product is on, when you comment on the blog hop or on the video. So thanks so much. Thank you, Jody, and I hope to see you again soon. Take care, everyone. Bye.